I'm your host, Laura Berry, and welcome to Out of the Box, an interview series about the abusive practice of solitary confinement. For the next 7 weeks, you will be hearing some very personal and heartfelt stories of survivors of solitary confinement, family members of those in solitary, and experts working to change the narrative of how solitary is used. These stories are all very personal to me. After being imprisoned as a child and personally spending 11,962 days in prison, some of which was spent in solitary while pregnant from a sexual assault by a correctional officer, I know the horror of solitary confinement all too well. I have no doubt that you will be moved by these stories as well. So, without further ado, let's get started. Good morning, Curtis. Thank you for joining me this morning. Could you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself as far as what gives you a personal insight on solitary confinement?
Good morning. My name is Curtis Brown. Solitary confinement to me was, I had to say, a life going experience because going there, not knowing what to expect, and once you get there, you realize you're in a whole different world. And the first thing in your mind is survival. You think maybe, and all that's good. You miss your family here and there, but the thing that's came to me was surviving.
So you entered the prison system, correct me if I'm wrong, as a juvenile offender. Is that correct?
That is correct. I was 16 of age.
Okay, you were 16 when you entered. And when you entered the facility, of course, a child entering an adult facility had to be scary in itself. So, what was your first experience of being locked down in confinement, segregation, what everybody knows to be termed solitary confinement? How long had you been incarcerated before you had that first experience?
I stayed in county jail a year, so that was a whole different confinement than as in institutional penitentiary. When I went to the penitentiary, I guess you could say the big boys, as you want to call them, the game was more raw and more strict and this and that. So my first night there, I saw brutal murder. I'm on top bunk. I'm a shower hair, and I hadn't been in it maybe at 7, 8 hours. It was at nighttime. I was asleep, and it's about I don't know 12, 1 o'clock in the mornings. You get to hear this loud screaming and hollering, and everyone jumping up. And you got to admit, this is my first time in penitentiary. I'm on the top bunk. It's dark. Death right there shook me up enough to make me realize, hey, so.
How long after that before you went to isolation for your first time?
It was on down the road. It was it started building up. People started confronting you, and people started testing you, and so it was. I'm looking at about another year, if that long, before I went, and that was because I was trying to avoid situation. But the more situation I tried to avoid, more came to me.
What type of feelings did you have once you were placed in that cell all by yourself and you knew you were going to be there for a minute? What kind of feelings were you having? Just kind of tell me how you felt.
I felt that what I have been experienced, the short time I've been incarcerated, I felt that man, it's wild because I'm hearing people hollering down the hallway and I'm hearing all kinds of stuff. I felt like I was in the right. So again, mixed emotion. At this time, I can't say I was scared. I was just paranoid of everything and everyone. I wasn't sure of everything and everyone. And so I was more nervous than anything because I wanted to express myself and show my little innocence or whatever. And so being in again that type of isolation hearing all kinds of noise and stuff down the hallway. It just made me realize when I get up out of here, I don't want to come back.
While you were locked in that cell, did it cause any type of emotional or any type of feelings of aloneness? People have talked about feeling almost an animalistic type feeling of being locked in a cage like an animal. Some people have talked about how the walls seem to be talking to them, all the screaming, all the hollering. What kind of feelings did you experience in that cell?
Again, I would have to say that I always felt, Laura, that if I kept it real,
Mm-hmm.
I had to go to disciplinary court because I done got in trouble, guilty or not guilty. I always try to tell the truth. So
Right.
that has always been me, even though it don't always work in my favor, tell the truth. That's it pretty much. So when I go to the hole, when I'm in incarceration, my thing is accepting it as it is. It's just that, yes, I was young and I was scared and I was nervous and all that, but again, I realized it was about survival. And I realized by me showing any kind of scariness or weakness to my surroundings, it's when you're really being preyed on more than anything. So I'm pretty much trying to, again, 16, 17 years old, trying to act like I'm 25.
Right. So throughout your incarceration, how many times did you find that you may have done time in isolation?
And as for isolation, going for breaking the rule and they give you 15, 30 days or whatever, a dozen times, if that minute.
And during that time, did you ever feel um, alone? Did you miss the human contact that you would have if you were in regular pop? Did you experience any type of feelings that you would not have experienced had you been in population as opposed to that isolation time?
I can remember a time or two that I was feeling that frustration and anger coming up when I get to thinking about why I'm here, how much time I'm doing, and this and that. I feel like I'm being abused, misused, and whatever. Yes. And yes, I want a human contact and someone to talk to.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Curtis. If thinking about the whole process of how isolation, punitive, segregation, all of those things, where they send you for negative behavior normally, do you think that there are other ways that they could correct a person's behavior without locking them in a cage like they're an animal?
It's not easy, but it can be done. So, yeah, you wish they would pay attention to you more. You wish they would listen to you more when you're trying to explain yourself, especially when you know you're in the right. You wish that you had officer come back there and know how to, you already in isolation, officer come back there and pay a little attention to people sometimes. Don't just come back there just to give them a tray or take their mattress, but walk by every now and then and say, how you doing? What's going on? Communicate. That will help a person do isolation time more than anything.
So basically, if somebody's in isolation, that human contact of just a few kind words here and there, as opposed to the screaming and hollering all the time, is one thing that you feel would help a person that has to be in isolation. Is that correct?
That is correct, and it's okay to tell me if I'm in isolation and officer come back and ask you how you doing, and I say I'm doing.
Okay, so is there any closing thoughts you would like to share that we might have missed about solitary isolation time? Did you ever have a time where you went to recreation during solitary? What type of recreation did you have? Was it the cage type where you were put in a cage, or do you remember what type of recreation you received?
Sometimes you go to recreation, you could be in a big open out yard pen. It'd be 3 or 4 of them in the pen.
The pen like they would put an animal in?
Uh-huh. And what's so again, you in isolation. And again, you out there just doing your 15, 30 minutes, however long that you have. You're gonna walk and you might just sit down, you might work out, whatever, for that short period of time. At the same time, there's several other people in that pen. I've actually seen people that sneak the little old wire in there and stab a person who was still in cuff. They go in first, get unhandcuffed. They supposed to go on down. Next person come in, they close the gate. You got to stick your hand back out to get up. I've seen people stick their hand back out, and the guy don't come in first. Just get to stabbing him. Get to stabbing him.
Okay, so you're basically in a cage like an animal, and you're chained like an animal before they remove your restraints, and you're being attacked like an animal that's chained and being attacked by a predator. Is that correct?
That is definitely correct.
Yes. So not only are you being treated like an animal, you're being ignored as far as your safety is concerned from other people.
And you have to remember, all this is new to you. So what do you do? Again, if you're not careful, Laurie, it's so easy that you become so defensive that everyone you meet, you're paranoid. If a person looking at you too much, too long, you get to like telling yourself some stuff. You start paying attention to people. Okay. And I'm just grateful that I just started paying attention to people. And it is.
Curtis, I want to say thank you for joining me and sharing. I know it's hard to relive some of the things that you've experienced, but I appreciate you sharing it for other people to hear and be able to form their own opinions. I can't help but believe that after hearing the story today, you're motivated to join us in this fight. Here are a few ways to get involved. Read our report about solitary confinement on Decarcerate's website. Follow us online over the next several weeks. We'll be posting lots of content about solitary confinement on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. Donate to the campaign. It's only through the financial contributions of supporters like you that we're able to continue this work. And finally, send us an email to join our monthly In Solitary meetings where you can learn how to volunteer with us and help us strategize our work. Again, thank you.